Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're checking out this video. All right, we're back. Week one is in the books. We're starting week two here with our Foundations of Management class as part of our online MBA program. All right, so got some feedback on how people did in the first week. Overall, I thought we had some great discussions on the discussion board. And especially starting out with the first module. However, I think there was a noticeable decline in the quality of posts on that second module. So just want to reiterate some old stuff and provide some new direction to improve your grade if you didn't get the grade you want. By the way, I have posted those grades for Module 1 and Module 2 discussion boards, and they, of course, are available through that grade option on Blackboard. So as we start off week two, there's a little discussion there at the start of week two in Blackboard about suggesting you take a look at the video where the biographer of Steve Jobs talked about his management style. And one of the things he talked about was A players like to work with A players. And I'm very serious about enforcing that rule on the discussion boards. So, and as I mentioned also, I'm not delegating these to anybody. I look over these myself. I read every single one, and expectations are high on that. So always bring your A game. Now, let me provide a little more direction about what the A game actually means. So discussion boards are serious places, and one thing that should be clearly demonstrated in every post is that you have read the text, and you're drawing from that text material or from other exercises we've had in the class in that post. So you're integrating deep knowledge from what you've read with, say, for example, personal experience, particular exercise, bringing that all together and providing something interesting, insightful, that shows deep thinking and understanding of that particular post. Anything else is going to get you in trouble. So let me just show you how I go about grading these. So I'm reading each post, and then I go through and I mark with your initial posts how you've done. And as you can see here, checks are good, and the straight lines indicate that, at least in my view, your post was somehow lacking. And you'll see here for this second module, there are a lot of relatively few checks and a lot of straight lines. So we don't want that. So again, we're talking about how we can improve that. Integration. Every post is important. Every post brings something. Every post demonstrates deep knowledge of the material we've covered within that particular chapter and other material. So at least temporarily, to make sure that you're doing that for each post, either your initial post or your follow-up, I want you to cite the text where you're getting information to supplement your post to demonstrate that insight. I want you to cite a particular text. Of course, Robbins is the author. Don't need to put Robbins, just put the page number. Again, I'm looking for that demonstration with every post that you've got, that you've read the text, you've learned something from it, and you can integrate that into your response. So having a cite within each post is good, and if not, you're going to get one of these nasty little straight lines that's not good for you in the long term or short term. So I'm looking for a cite with every post. All right, a couple of other things. This didn't happen often, but it happened once or twice. Do not ever just cut and paste from another source within your the discussion board. If there is an external reference that you think is important, then include that link to that source within your post. So if I see a cut and paste from somebody, that's automatically a straight line and starts getting me upset. All right, so next point, each post must make a substantive contribution to the discussion. Now let me clarify that just a little bit, what I mean specifically by that. In a number of the texts within the posts within Module 2, people kind of got off on tangents that weren't directly related to the material being addressed. That's an automatic straight line. The discussion board isn't a place to have conversations either. If it's not directly related to that particular exercise, particular point of interest, directly related to the text or what we're going over, don't include it. If you want to have that conversation with your classmates, that's fine. Just don't do it on my discussion boards. Report out. Typically, you're doing an exercise and that needs to be reported. Almost everybody's doing that. I think we just had one person that didn't do that on Module 2. Hit deadlines. So that's another thing. I do not read anything that's posted after deadlines. We have deadlines on Saturday, deadlines on Sunday, deadlines on Monday, deadlines on Tuesday. So initial post, of course, has got to be in there by Saturday or Monday. And if that initial post comes in late, I don't read it. I just give you an evil straight line. Okay, so we've got the idea here that discussion boards are serious things. This is where you're demonstrating your knowledge of the class. I'm reading over these personally, and take a look at your grades, especially on Module 2. They may not be what you wanted. I'm happy on the discussion boards to give you an explanation for each of the little checks or straight lines on your posts. So if you want additional direction on grading on Module 1 or Module 2 posts, please send me an email. I'll be happy to respond and clarify expectations if we need to do that. All right, so bring your A game. That's the rule. Bring your A game. That's an opportunity to teach your instructor and your classmates something interesting about management. And again, I think we were on the right track with Module 1, not so much with Module 2. So let's talk about this week. We're moving on to Module 3. This has got a whole bunch of interesting issues in it. We're talking about globalization, ethics and social responsibility, diversity, and we've got a video from one of my favorite authors, favorite thinkers, especially about globalization, Thomas Friedman. That used to be us. This is from a couple years back, and our discussion within the political and economic world has changed a little bit since this time. But I think it's still gigantically relevant. And Thomas Friedman is a two or three-time Pulitzer Prize winner, columnist for the New York Times. And I think we can all learn something from that presentation. So I'm sure you'll enjoy that, and look to see your integration of that within the discussion boards for Module 3. Module 4. This is another very interesting chapter, talking about decision making, which includes topics such as should you follow kind of as a manager a rational, highly deductive approach to making decisions. Some concepts named like bounded rationality you should know about, and of course throw in things like creativity and intuition. Should those fit into decision making? And then of course we got a small section also on group decision making. And for this part, I'm asking you to view the classic movie 12 Angry Men as a demonstration of some of the things that happen within group decision makings and how reasons why they can be less than perfect. So I provided a link there. I actually suggest that you get on iTunes or some other streaming service, pay a couple bucks, and get the original version of that morning movie rather than just what we have available for free through YouTube. So, just one final point that I forgot to mention on the discussion boards. Questions. Sometimes people say, hey, great post. What do you think of this? So we have rules, surprise, surprise, in regard to that also. I don't want you to ask a question and not answer it. It's fine to ask for another person's views, but again, this is serious business, and you've got to contribute new knowledge to each post. So if you want to ask somebody a question, you want to say, hey, a great post, I have this question, then I want you to answer it. And I want you to answer that question through providing additional insight. That may include going out there and finding another source of information somewhere on the internet. It could be an academic article, it could be something from Business Week or Inc. Magazine or some other source that sheds light on that particular issue. So never just, hey, cool post, ask a question. Again, that's one of those straight lines. We don't do that in this class. So add some additional, you've got to make a unique contribution to each post This is not a conversation. It's not about asking questions. It's providing new knowledge and having a conversation, but in a very intentional way designed to facilitate learning in this course. All right, I probably talked too much. Have a great week. Spring break is coming up here. I'm going to be traveling a little bit, but available especially through email. And if you have any questions, please check in. All right, have a great week.